Prime time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. The City of Lloydminster's incident management team updated the media again on the fight to limit the spread of COVID-19 here in Lloydminster.
We are here for the COVID-19 situation update for the City of Lloydminster. Today is Tuesday, April 21, 2020. We have a few questions submitted. First, we'll start with primetime local news. Their first question: the Saskatchewan Health Authority is advising against all non-essential travel between Northwest Saskatchewan and Northern Alberta due to cases of COVID-19 in the northern part of Saskatchewan. These cases are linked to travel between Northwest Saskatchewan and Alberta. And has there been any impact in Lloydminster?
So on Saturday, April 18th, the Saskatchewan Health Authority did put forward new precautions after some northwestern Saskatchewan COVID cases were linked to northern Alberta communities. Sask Health is recommending that residents who have traveled from northern Alberta to self-isolate for 14 days upon their return. They're also recommending that all non-essential border travel should cease. To our knowledge, these cases have had no adverse effects on the City of Lloydminster. Further that, both provincial governments have recommended against non-essential interprovincial travel since mid-March. Of course, except for those who must cross borders for work, which is prevalent in the City of Lloydminster.
Question 2, the city has posted some changes to curbside collection. What has changed due to COVID-19 and why were these changes made?
So to ensure the safety of contractor employees and the public, additional curbside collection precautionary measures were put into effect late last week. The main changes is that residents must now bag all food waste using a certified compostable bag or paper bags not lined with plastic. This will limit the possibility of food waste being strewn about when being collected. And while not a change to the program, this rule is now in full force. It's important residents must make sure that lids on both their green and gray bins fully close and are not overflowing, or else GFL will not be picking them up.
And next we have a few questions from 93.5 Real Country. Has the COVID-19 pandemic impacted the city's finances? And to follow up, will there be changes to the 2020 budget?
Currently, City Administration is reviewing all budgeted projects for 2020 and may bring forward recommendations to Council in the coming months.
Question 2, parking lot meetups have been spotted in and around the city, and now that warmer weather is approaching, will bylaw be stepping up patrols to keep an eye on interactions that might violate health orders?
So with the warmer weather, as noted, there has been an increase in road and foot traffic. Local enforcement officers continue to monitor the city for safety and any potential violations under the state of local emergency. As always, our first measure of enforcement is education. If there are repeat complaints, officers will begin writing offenses. During this time, we must all do our part, and that is to follow the measures put in place by the City of Lloydminster and the Saskatchewan Health Authority.
And question 3, it's a little off topic from COVID-19, but they're still looking to inform the residents. Is there a fire ban in the City of Lloydminster? And if not, is one being considered?
Currently, there is no fire ban in the City of Lloydminster. Having said that, the Lloydminster Fire Department continuously monitors the changes in weather conditions that could influence the fire environment. For anyone at home using a fire pit, it's important to follow all safety precautions and regulations set out in the city's fire bylaw. If you're looking for more information, visit the city's website, lloydminster.ca/fire.
City Council has put the wheels in motion approving a plan to move the Lloydminster Public Library. Eric Bay has more.
After spending over 20 years in what was supposed to be a temporary location inside the Atrium Center, the Lloydminster Public Library is finally on the move. City Council gave the go-ahead to negotiate a lease with the Lloyd Mall, where the library will move into the West End.
Councillor Baker alluded to, 24 years ago, the library moved and was there for a short term, and that short term is 24 years. So is what it amounted to. And the library has been an ongoing discussion for this council since we were elected, and discussions with the board, with administration, city council, and it's at various times. The library has done some reports, and they were brought forward, and that gave us a much clearer picture of where we were at from the perspective of what they needed. And it's important. Everything does have a time, and at the time it might have been the best solution, but we believe that the location that's been chosen is a much better location today and serves us well.
While concerns were raised at council about the timing of the move, it was agreed that it was long overdue and that the move will also provide some jobs here in the short term.
From the perspective, we're going to be able to, again, put people to work in the city, tradespeople that will be able to bid on that job, to do the renovations and get the library up to shape. There'll be moving work that needs to be done. And of course, the library has a lot of books to move, so there'll be some work that way. So there's a lot of opportunities that are created by this. And I just want to point out, it was touched on, if we didn't move the library was in desperate need of renovations, from carpeting to lighting to some structural, I believe, work to be done just to modernize it. And we'd had to close the library, move it, do the renovations, and turn around and move everything back. That's one of the benefits of going to a new location. There'll be one move, and it'll be moved from the library location currently to the new location, and it'll be done. This way we don't lose our library basically for that period of time. There's still, even though it's closed currently with COVID, as soon as it can be reopened, it will be reopened while the new one is being constructed, and then there'll be a short intermission while it's moved, and we'll be in new business in the new location.
There was talk at previous council meetings of incorporating the Lloyd Public Library into the downtown area redevelopment plan. And while this move does put that on the shelf for the short term, the mayor didn't rule out the possibility of that occurring here in the future.
I think that's something that future councils will certainly determine. A library needs, as we've gathered, it needs to be ground level. It has to be well supported because of the weight bearing of the nature of the library with the books, and it takes a very specific facility to meet those requirements. So as that moves forward in future councils, they will be looking at that, I'm sure, and considering how they can find the right place for the library, where it be owned by the city or a leased property like we're going into currently, and we currently have.
While the library is currently closed due to COVID-19, the move is expected to take place late in 2020. Eric Bay, Primetime Local News.
Well, many teachers across the country are adapting to virtual learning amid the COVID-19 pandemic. I had the chance to chat with one local teacher here in Lloydminster to see how they're adapting to change.
All right, I'm very pleased to be joined with Chelsea Evans from St. Mary's, who teaches grade 6 there. So Chelsea, first off, thanks a lot for joining me today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So you're obviously, like many teachers across the country, they now have to teach from home. What was your initial reaction when you found out that, you're not allowed to go back into your school and you have to do things, this way?
Honestly, it was a shock. I felt like a first-year teacher all over again. It was like, how do I do this? What do I need? What kind of materials am I going to do? And I think the biggest reaction from everyone was just the loss of the classroom, like the kids, and just kind of losing those relationships and losing those sort of, bonds that we've created and all that kind of stuff. And I think that was the hardest part, was just knowing that we didn't know when we were going to see our kids again, and we had to do this technology piece to it. And we didn't know if kids had technology at home, what resources they had available. It was just one of those things that it was very scary, and it was very overwhelming. And I think that everybody kind of felt in the same boat, that they just did not know what to expect. It was such uncharted territory. And honestly, nobody really knew what kind of advice to give us because nobody had went through it before. So it was just it was quite overwhelming at first, I have to say.
What were how much of an adjustment has it been for you to teach from home and teach virtually now that we have all the technology to do so?
At first, like I said, I was overwhelmed. Once I started, I think after my very first Zoom meeting with my class, where I mean, almost all of them showed up and it was just us and we were sitting there and I could see all their faces. I think that's when I started to kind of calm down and I was like, you know what, guys, we can do this. And after that initial Zoom meeting and after, setting up the Google Classroom and getting all of the, I set up an Instagram account and kids were on there and they were messaging me and, saying that they missed me and they were excited to start school and asking for assignments and all that kind of stuff. I think that's when it kind of adjusted for me and it kind of shifted into something that I knew that we could do it and that we were going to be successful. But yeah, I think just after seeing the kids' excitement and seeing that the kids were on board and that, all of our staff was so supportive. And I mean, I really feel like we have the best school division, but everybody was so supportive and they were giving us so many tips and tricks and everyone just kind of bonded together and just did it. And it's been really awesome, I have to say. It's just, that was probably like, now that I've adjusted to it, it's not overwhelming anymore.
You talked about your students and how excited they were. I mean, that goes into my next question is what has been, I guess, the general response? I mean, I know obviously it's been positive, but for you, what does it mean for you to see their excitement to learn from home during this time?
It honestly makes you feel like you've done something right. That's how I feel, because it's just one of those things. I always thought that, you hear your kids, and especially teaching grade 6, I mean, they're sweethearts, but they kind of moan and groan like, oh, do we have to do this? That's just how kids are. And once I started to see, some of even my reluctant learners say, hey, Miss Evans, when's the next assignment? What do I have to do for this? And seeing them do that and seeing them, want to talk to me and want to Zoom and talking about, interacting. I've added a few other teachers from our school into my Google Classroom. So we've got like their phys ed teacher, the LAT, just a support teacher that I have that we do ELA with. And they were all wanting to interact with everybody and just saying hello and talking to each other. And I think that's the biggest shift that I've seen, is that the kids are excited and it just makes you feel like you've done something right and that, school is important and they do, even though they grumble sometimes, they do miss it and they do love to learn.
Well, I mean, you and every other teacher across the country are doing a great job and still educating all the kids, no matter where they are. So, Chelsea, thank you very much for joining me and sharing what it's like from a teacher's perspective during COVID-19.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Stay with us, more primetime local news after the break.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
Welcome back. Now it's time for this week's Pet Project with Abby St. John.
Today I'm joined here with Becca from the SPCA, and she has Rebel, an adorable gray cat. Tell me a little bit about how she came to the SPCA.
Yeah, so she just came in as a stray, and she was adopted just for about a week once, but it just didn't work out for them. So in total, she's really been here for about almost 80 days. So she's one of our longtime residents. And she just came in as a stray, and that's all we pretty much know about her past.
And what is her personality like? How is she interacting with other cats? I can see it here. She's very playful with humans. How is she with other cats and hearing the dogs around her?
Yeah, she's really good. She's got a very laid back personality. Like half the time when we pass, she is her paws hanging, just chilling kind of thing. So she's very, very laid back girl. She does get along with other cats that get along with her. So she is in a condo with another cat that we have. And yeah, so I mean, the dog, she hasn't been overly welcoming when they pass her in the shelter, but I mean, if it's a dog that's nice to her, it might work out fine in the end. Who knows?
And how have you been cat number wise? Have you gone down a little bit? I noticed that you had some cat adoptions this past week.
Yes, yeah, like we are still, going down in numbers, which is nice. And like we've been calling off our waiting list, and a lot of the people have either decided to keep the animals or found the homes, or just we haven't heard back from them yet. So we haven't had a huge influx from our waiting list yet either. So it's really just kind of a gradual adoption and like animals coming in. So it's really evening out really nice for us. And so yeah, it's been a nice smooth transition anyway.
Which is nice. Do you, going back, if this pandemic wasn't going on, is this typically your busier time for strays, or is this time, like right now, kind of a little bit slower?
We find it's busier because we start noticing as soon as it starts getting warmer, the kittens start coming in. So I think, like I think still May is kind of when it gets the busiest. So we still haven't quite reached that marker yet. And so I mean we're still kind of waiting for that, kind of prepping ourselves for kitten season to commence. But yeah, so it's been a nice gradual thing for us right now. It hasn't been too crazy busy, so it's a nice time for us to kind of get prepared for that.
And going on kind of the dog area, you didn't have a whole bunch of dogs over the past couple of weeks. How are you doing with numbers as of today?
Really good. We only have the 3 up front, so we have yeah, we just have 2 larger breeds and then 1 smaller little corgi cross. She's pretty cute. Two of them aren't like huge fans of kids, unfortunately, but the other guy, he's a bit big, rambunctious boy, but he loves everything that'll give him attention. So he's a good guy as long as you're prepared for some training.
And seeing as you had to readjust how adoptions were, had to call by appointment, how has that system been working out for you guys down at the SPCA? Has it made things just a little bit easier?
Yeah, actually, it really has. I mean, because we obviously don't want people having to cross each other and anything like that. So it has really made that a bit easier for us. The phones we find have gotten a bit busier, but that's okay too. We're trying to keep safe just like everybody else right now. So it's but yeah, no, it has really kind of made things easier to kind of keep things in line and what we need to do. And yeah, so and the public's doing really really well with that as well. They're they're working with us definitely with it. So it's been nice that they are so understanding of it.
And just really quickly, just to remind people, if they are interested in adopting an animal from the SPCA, how can they do so to make that appointment?
Yeah, they just call us at the shelter and they just we let them know what our open time slots are, and then or if they can message us on Facebook as well, and we get that appointment set for them.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining me today, Becca, and hopefully Rebel can find her forever home and all your other cats and dogs as well.
Yeah, she didn't want to stick around too much, but
thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Manage your waste and recyclables with Quick Pick Waste Disposal. 100% locally owned and proud to serve and support the communities we call home. Quick Pick, the convenient solution to avoid pollution.
Welcome back. One Cold Lake photographer is joining a global initiative to help give back to first responders and healthcare workers.
Joining me is Susie O'Connor from Images Studio. So Susie, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about this project that you're involved with. It's called the 1-for-1 Gratitude Session. So just touch about what they're all about.
So our 1-for-1 gratitude sessions are gifting first responders and healthcare workers a portrait session and wall art when a client buys a session. So a client buys a session, we gift the same to a first responder or healthcare worker's family of their choice.
So where did the idea come from to do something like this and to give back?
A fantastic woman out in BC. I'm actually very proud to say that this originated in Canada. It has now gone global, of course. And, she just watched her whole spring and summer go to nothing in her business, and she thought, how can I recoup some of that, be an intelligent businesswoman, and how can I show my gratitude to essential workers?
Now, have you been getting a lot of traction with all this? Have people been raring to buy some packages and to give back as well?
Yeah, it's been incredible actually. We have, I mean, my first session was gifted to a nurse down in Calgary that she worked in a prostate screening clinic, and then all of a sudden was put on the front line testing for COVID for healthcare professionals. So it's going to be amazing to be able to do her session later this summer when social distancing has lifted and we can actually go ahead and do that.
You mentioned about how with some businesses, with photographers especially, because there's all those guidelines with social distancing. From a photographer standpoint, how important is it to, give back in times like these?
Well, the government has deemed us non-essential, and we can clearly see who is essential in this pandemic. And I sit here, I mean, in my studio, just from this very privileged and safe vantage point, seeing our healthcare workers and first responders, they're putting themselves on the front line every day, and it's how I can say thank you.
Now, of course, the professional photographers of Canada have come out saying, the distancing, they're not going to do these sessions because there's been some concerns from photographers. As a photographer yourself, have you ever encountered something like that most recently before this, I guess this was implemented?
So I did the porch project and I loved it. I photographed it in about 2 days. And the Professional Photographers of Canada came out and said, we should really be putting our cameras down. It's not safe. We don't want to put extra traffic on the street. We don't want to encourage other photographers, maybe that are not a part of our association, to be going out and just pretending it's life as usual. So they did come out with that statement, which I stand by. We should not be out shooting right now. This is not the time, and we will have that time later on.
And I just want to mention for the viewers, all these sessions, these one-for-ones are for after social distancing protocols have been lifted, correct?
Absolutely. And hey, we still have snow on the ground here, so we've got time, lots of time.
Absolutely. And just lastly here, how can people purchase one of these and get involved and, and do this as well?
Yeah, so we have our Images Studios Facebook page that you can go on. It's just pinned right to the top of the page. You send us a message and then we can give you the details. So what we're doing is we're giving a full session and a small wall portrait so that our first responders and healthcare workers have this to kind of commemorate this time after social distancing is lifted.
Absolutely. Well, Susie, thank you very much for joining us and sharing all that wonderful information. I'm sure, like myself, we appreciate all the frontline workers and first responders working hard out there, and you're just doing your part to say thank you. So thank you for talking with me today.
Thanks, Connor. It was nice to chat with you.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
I'm joined here with Manzoor Azim, and now you guys recently announced that you are doing a virtual Ramadan. So can you talk a little bit about that?
So this campaign, as Lloydminster already know, we have done in the past where the campaign's name was a little different, Fast with the Muslim Family, in which we invite people to share the meal together, share the table, and know more about what Ramadan is. And we're kind of copying the same thing, but as the circumstances have been changed due to COVID-19, we cannot share the meal on a single table. That's why we are inviting our local Canadians to know more about their Muslim neighbors by knowing what their festivals are and what basically Ramadan is. Why people always ask me this, that why do you fast for 18 hours from dawn to dusk? And it's a religious festival in which the background is that we stay hungry for 18 hours or more than that in summer, and then we feel the same pain of the people who are unfortunate and cannot have enough to feed them or feed their families, and thus by knowing their pain we will be able to actually help them. So this is the background of the campaign. And we have done this kind of campaign in the past, but this is more online version of virtual Ramadan campaign.
And for Ramadan, how will the virtual work? How can people, connect to it, and what can they do?
So there's a website, it's called virtualramadan.ca, and on which they can request that they want to know more about their Muslim neighbors and they want to know more about Ramadan, what the festival is. And, a volunteer family will actually be more than happy to welcome them. And, at the iftar time when they break the fast, they can all virtually share the table.
And now you guys are also doing a neighbor helper program during this time to, help get groceries and everything like that for those who need it. So can you explain that a little bit?
Ramadan is all about helping others and feeling their pain. And that's exactly what we are doing with the second campaign during the month. It's the neighborhood helper campaign. In this campaign, the situation, the job situation, and the financial crisis. Not a lot of people can afford to buy the groceries anymore. The things they used to buy typically normal just a couple of weeks ago. They're not able to. Now we are here to help them. If there is anything, if they're afraid of the contamination, if they don't have any protective gear, for example, then we do have masks, we do have gloves, we do have all the protective gear, and our volunteers are more than ready to go to the grocery stores and pick up groceries, or even at the pharmacies and pick up supply medical prescriptions to them, and also running some errands. And if someone cannot afford the groceries, then we can even buy ourselves the groceries and provide them the grocery items they require.
And how can somebody get involved in this?
So there are two ways. One is by call. They can call the toll-free number, which is 1-855-435-7811. 1-855-435-7811. That's the toll-free number they can call to. And also there's one more email setup where they can email us at help@amya.ca. So that's Ahmadiyya Muslim Youth Association.ca. So help@Ahmadiyya Muslim Youth Association.ca, amya.ca. And also we do have some social platforms over Facebook as well, and they can reach us over there as well if they require it.
And now you kind of mentioned that this does really apply to everyone who does need it at this time. Why do you think this was a really important campaign to bring in?
Some of our members, our community members, have lost their jobs as well, and they have requested our community to help them, in buying groceries. So when we came to this, if the members of our community can ask for help, then why not the wider? Let's spread the same thing to the wider community as well, and the help that we can provide as a community to our members, then we can definitely provide the same help to the wider community, to Lloydminster as well, which the city that has been so supportive in all the other times. So.
And then once again, before we wrap up, what are the websites people can go to for the virtual Ramadan and the neighborhood helper?
It's virtual Ramadan, virtualramadan.ca, virtualramadan.ca for virtual Ramadan request. And you have to call on 1-855-435-7811 to ask, request anything. Just let us know what you require and where you require, and it's as simple as that. Your wish will be granted.
Well, thank you so much for doing this, and best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.